Every Sunday we gather, and the purpose of it is to do our very best to penetrate a little deeper into an abiding understanding of what you might call the nature of the human predicament. It's that quest to discover how we managed to turn the Garden of Eden into a rock and a hard place. And that's game. That's game on, because that's exactly what we do. It is true that the Garden of Eden, it's an Edenic kind of situation we find ourselves part of. As we sit here this morning, as we stand, as we breathe, we are part of an Edenic situation that was created for us to provide us the maximal environment to do this thing called living in. We just got real good at screwing it up. And it's just exactly how we do that and turn the Garden of Eden into a rock and a hard place. It's what we come to understand. And in that understanding, remember a few weeks ago we talked about one of Gurdjieff's major points. Gurdjieff says you can't get out of prison until you realize that you're in prison. Thank you, Art. You got to realize first. And the nature of that prison is what we kind of have a fun and some not so fun times exploring. Well, it seems righteous, after doing that for a long time, exploring the many ways the mind can be used done skillfully, that something be said about the importance of translating our newfound knowings into doings. Because until knowings become doings, they just kind of sit there and don't accomplish much. If, as the Gospel of James suggests, faith without works is dead, it would seem to follow that knowing without doing is just as futile. So let's share an idea or two about the significance of consistently applying what we've learned, or what I pray that we've learned. Almost 2,000 years ago, an inspired Galilean prophet shook the foundations of Hebrew theocracy by declaring that all beings are children of a universal Father within, who wants nothing more from us than to learn how to celebrate the grace of existence by loving one another in a radically unconditional way. All spiritual paths initiated by truly awakened beings contain teachings that are extraordinary in their potential to dramatically transform the behavior of their devotees. But not until the truth becomes a living reality, consistently reflected in their acts and their utterances. And there you have it. The key to all truly relevant and authentic transformation is the willingness to bring a fierce commitment to the discipline of faithfully applying the spiritual principles that set us free to be loving players in the game of life. And just to be sure that we are clear on what it means to apply, consider this from the Random House Dictionary. There we find that the first, thus the commonest, definition of apply is to make practical or active use of. And therein lies a key to understanding what inspires some folks to define unity as a practical form of Christianity. Unity is a life philosophy that will dynamically reward anyone who makes active use of its clear and practical strategies for enjoying the fruit of the spiritually informed life. Jesus was crystal clear on this point. He was totally committed to inspiring all his followers to move beyond simply knowing his commandments into the spiritually rarefied space of keeping them in remembrance of him. Key thought, keeping them. Keep these teachings in remembrance of me. Remember his inspiring revelation that these things I do, and even greater things ye shall do. It's all about the power of spiritual action, the power of doing, the power of releasing the energy inherent in the principles of truth when they are acted on in ways that liberate their great potential to become the mighty spiritual force that transforms our lives from bondage to freedom, from the mundane to the mystical. Nowhere in our study of the Jesus ethic do we encounter him encouraging us to refine, for example, our capacity to correctly define and properly articulate the conceptual principles of law. Nor did he ever suggest that following him demanded an unquestioning belief that he indeed had been born of a virgin, turned water into wine, walked on water, raised the dead, or rose from the cross. The only test for discipleship in the Jesus tradition was perfectly clarified with his counsel that they shall know you are my disciples by your love for one another. If you pay close attention, you'll hear him inviting us to abide in him. Do the things he did to follow him, to do our best to emulate his life by keeping his commandments. So remember, it is far more crucial that we put our energy into being a disciple, a follower of Jesus, than it is to work on perfecting our identity as a Christian. In fact, if you ever catch me focusing on how to make you a good unitic, hit me in the back of the head with a 3-iron, okay? That's not where it's at. The dance is not about learning how to be a perfect enunciator of a religious ideology. Christianity, righteously understood, transcends knowledge, beliefs, theological propositions to reach out and embrace the rarefied space of authentic discipleship, a willingness to follow his teachings with impeccable integrity deep into the mystical heart of their origins. So remember, transcending ego doesn't mean getting rid of it. It's simply about plugging it into a neural network more spiritually informed than its current operating system. You'll know you're getting close when a deep and inner peace begins to haunt you and you find yourself incapable of manufacturing turmoil with quite the same conviction you once could. I honor your growing capacity to come off your positions and enjoy a laugh, a good laugh, over how boldly we defended the utter crap we used to cling to so arrogantly as the last word on whatever topic was under discussion. And finally and ultimately, the effectiveness of our transformational practices will be determined by the level of intimacy we have cultivated with the source of all life-enhancing energies, the energies of love and peace and joy and compassion and forgiveness and wisdom, of course. But let's not forget a little pain and suffering thrown in now and then just to stir the pot of awakening. It's all part of the dance. Remember Rumi's poem, you're a guest house. Invite it all in. Each experience has been set as a guide from the beyond to take us each into deeper places of seeing and doing. And so the question remains, how truly intimate is our connection to the heart-mind of God, the Christ within? Has our quest for truth merely cultivated our intellects, or has a fierce commitment to doing his revelation gone so soul deep that an ecstatic silence is the only appropriate response? The difference can be dramatic. So get your rubber bands back on, snap them. Let's wake up together. Thank you so much for being part of it this morning.